Hey friends, welcome to Devoted to Hope, where we will dive into books that inspire hope and faith. Today, I'm walking through the woods, because when we're talking about faith, it is good and a beautiful bonus to be surrounded by God's beautiful creation. So, let's get started with my review of Hope Like Wildflowers, written by Pepper Basham, published by Barbour Publishing. In this Christian historical romance book, we're taken back to early 20th century Appalachia, where faith blossoms in some pretty unexpected places. Our main character, Kizzy McAdams, is walking through life with a heart full of hope, yet it is certainly weighed down by past decisions and painful rejections. Her story isn't exactly a peaceful walk through the woods, if you know what I mean. One of the many things I love about Kizzy is that even when the path gets rough, she keeps moving forward. She doesn't give up, she doesn't make excuses, she doesn't wallow, because she knows God is with her and guiding her, even when the journey is hard. She wrestles with tough questions like, does God's love still reach into broken lives like mine? And Kizzy's journey reminds us that no matter what we've been through, God's love doesn't shy away from our mess. One of the surprising impacts this book had on me was through Kizzy's connection with Noah Lewis. He's the kind of guy who shows up when life's been rough, with a genuine compassion that's hard to find these days. Their friendship turns into something so much more, a partnership rooted in hope and redemption. As someone who's an extreme introvert, I've spent most of my life believing it's easier to keep people at arm's length to avoid the pain they can inflict. But this story reminded me of something I've heard my whole life and didn't want to admit. Letting others in can be a very good, even dare I say it, an obedient thing to do. We weren't made to walk this path alone, and like Kizzy, we can grow and bloom in ways we never expected when we walk alongside others who have their eyes fixed on Jesus. The author, Pepper Basham, highlights a beautiful truth. Allow me to quote it. God tends to work out life's tangles into a better plan than we could ever make. It's a powerful reminder that when we trust God's timing, He can do more than we ever imagined, and that just might include amazing friendships or other fantastic blessings. First, 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1, God's love reaches all of our broken places. No matter how far gone we think we are, God has the power and wisdom to restore us to better than we were before, putting those shattered pieces back together into something even more beautiful. Secondly, redemption is always possible, even when we don't feel worthy of it, because through Christ's sacrifice, we are offered a fresh start and the chance to be made new. Lastly, surrendering to God's plan brings true fulfillment, far more than anything we could plan on our own, because it allows us to experience His perfect peace and joy. Now, to really ground these takeaways, let's look at 3 scriptures that beautifully capture the heart of Kizzy's journey. First, Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes all things to work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Then, Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And finally, Isaiah 61:3. To grant those who mourn in Zion, giving them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a spirit of fainting. So they will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that He may be glorified. Now that we've heard the takeaways and scriptures, let's talk about how we can authentically live out these truths in our daily lives, just like Kizzy does. First, trust God with the tangled parts of your story. Just like Kizzy, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by past mistakes, but God's got a better plan than we could ever dream up. Next, love others with compassion, even in their brokenness. Just as Noah showed Kizzy grace, we can reflect God's love in how we treat others, even when they're hard to love. Aren't we all hard to love at one time or another? Regrettably, I know I am, and it is in those moments that I need love the most. Lastly, plant seeds of hope, even when the ground looks rough. You never know when God's going to make something beautiful bloom. Hope Like Wildflowers is truly a gem. It's one of those stories that I know I'll come back to, time and time again. I'm walking away from this book feeling more hopeful and deeply reminded of how much God cares for both you and me. If you enjoy stories that highlight faith, redemption, and God's love, I promise you'll love this one. It's worth every moment you spend lost in its pages. Thanks for walking with me today. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more faith-filled reviews and reflections and online friendship. Until next time, keep blooming in God's amazing grace.